I'm just this whole time I'm sitting here, I'm just dying out laughing that like I essentially know you but don't know you.
Exactly,
you
right?
Know what I mean?
You're like that one dot on the connected dots.
Yeah,
that we have
I'm like, man, we should have met years ago. So, because Kaplan told me about you years ago. Years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Kaplan's great, man. It
No,
was
I
funny
love
because
Kaplan.
my dad was a chiropractor.
Okay.
So I respect the shit out of those guys.
Yeah.
You know, I
was going to chiropractors when I was like 3 years old.
Yeah.
Like my dad
Fantastic. Structure
never took me to
man.
doctors. He like if we got sick, we went to the chiropractor.
Yeah.
Like, it was
I
like
couldn't
that.
agree with you more on that one. I didn't have a headache growing up. I didn't have any
And the
really
chiropractor,
issues.
so when I broke my back the first time, it was my junior year in high school, and I got misdiagnosed by like Health South, like the biggest doctors,
I know
the Dr. Scrushy and all these guys, and they told me how to pull muscle. And so I played 9 games my junior year in high school as an inside linebacker and running back and kick returner and punt returner.
Man, those are some
with
high contact
with a broken
positions.
back.
Jesus.
And after every game, and then the last 3 games they were shooting me with Toradol with like needle
deck
like
on
this
there.
thick and this in high school, and the pain was just unbearable. And my dad was like yelling at me for not hustling, and I'm like, I'm hustling, I promise. Like I could barely walk out there. And then I went to a bone specialist that found the hairline fracture in my L5S1, and it was
L5S1.
yeah, and it was fractured on the facet.
Oh my.
And so obviously, there was something wrong. So again, they were like, surgery, you'll never play, they even said like, I'll never run again, all this crazy stuff. And so I went to the chiropractor, my chiropractor, and he's like, he handed me these pills, and it was like bone factor 1, but it was basically like calcium, magnesium, and zinc, And he's like, take these like M&Ms. And get as flexible and strong as possible and do everything the doctors told you not to do.
Exactly.
And so I did, and I went from like 218 to like 195 shredded. I could do the splits.
Oh, fantastic.
I became the defensive player of the year in Alabama. Like, everything,
man. Shit.
And then I was fine. And then we went back and did the x-ray, the same bone scan, and you saw the layer of calcium that went over the thing. But then my junior year in college, I broke it again. So that calcium thing broke again.
Huh?
And that was because of the stupid ass strength coaches back then. Like,
oh yeah, the shit that I'm sure you had to do.
All they cared about was like how much you could lift, instead of, and looking back on it, if I showed up to Auburn at 6'1", 218, like a beast, just flying around and just lighting people up. When I broke my back, I was 6'1", 240, and I was stronger than ever, but I was like, I wasn't as fast and nimble and quick and flexible and all that. Yeah. And now, and then I became a strength coach because of that, because I was like, I don't want other people to go through what I went through.
No, for sure. You do it smart.
But
no, it's funny you say
crazy.
that because so I walked into college at 245. I was benching like 540, squatting 600, leg pressing and shit. And I one day I looked around and I was just like, nothing but guys were gawking at me, being like, dude, you see how much he's benching? Girls were just like, they didn't give a fuck.
No.
That day I said, fuck it, I'm doing bodybuilding.
Did you ever
I went down to 200 pounds, man, shredded, won my con. I was like, dude, because you're big, you feel, I was eating like, I don't know, 10,000 calories a day. I said, fuck it, man, what am I trying to do this for?
Yeah.
You know what, it didn't make
when I was done with football, the biggest I ever got was 240. And when I was done with football, I got all the way down to 200. And that was when the girls just like were like, it was like a new world. I was like, so a six-pack is what y'all are looking for. Not a 22-inch neck.
Walking around cutting your jeans. My mom used to cut my jeans and sew them in like
38 jeans.
Jesus,
because of my butt and legs, you know?
No, man.
My snack in football was a gallon of milk, whole milk.
Yeah.
And I would take a loaf of bread and make peanut butter, banana, honey sandwiches, the whole thing, and just eat them all day long.
Dude, man, me too, man.
It was wild.
My alarm clock in the morning in high school was the blender. So I worked on a farm, and this wasn't whole milk; it was milk from the udder. It was a dairy farm. So I'd come home with
like straight
raw
up
milk
from the
raw
nipple.
milk. Exactly, it'd be that whole ice cream. It'd be 6 raw eggs, and it just blended. And the Joe Weider, remember the Joe Weider mass gainer, which I'm sure caused cancer to everybody. You know what I mean? In there, that was my wake up, and then my going to bed was a double-decker peanut butter and jelly sandwich with bananas and the same milkshake.
Right.
Oh my God.
So my
dad
dad played college football, and he was a natural bodybuilder.
Okay.
So he was like always having us drink like, aloe vera juice and charcoal and like, like he was always like giving us, and we're kids and we're like, Dad, why? And then the weight gainer shakes, and then waking us up. So my dad would wake us up at like 5 a.m. and have us run in front of his car and like all this stuff.
Oh,
so,
dude. Me and you had a similar upbringing. That's pretty funny. Yeah. It's always good to have that dad. You know what I mean? Like,
yep. No, I mean, to this day, we're like best friends because of, I wouldn't be where I am today without him. I say thing, like, man. Your dad is not supposed to be your best friend. He's supposed to be your disciplinarian. And then you grow into being best friends.
Exactly.
Like you kind of not hate. I guess hate's a strong word, but you kind of like, man,
you
really, Dad?
You hate
your
dad.
You hate your dad. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I hated it until I was 18.
You know what I mean?
When I turned the day I turned 18, I remember he knocked on the door, brought me in breakfast. He cooked pancakes and all this shit. Yeah. Sat down and said, "Hey man, you're 18." I was hungover. You didn't know. Hey, you're a man now. You're no longer my responsibility. I'm gonna be your best friend. So that fucker parties more than I do now. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So my story is that my dad was on my ass, like just about everything. And then I'll never forget, and I don't remember the time frame. It was either my freshman year in college or was my senior year in high school. But he came up to me and he said almost the exact same thing. He's like, I'm letting you go. He's like, you got this now. And that was like when our relationship totally changed,
Dude, exact same with me.
Yeah,
I came to respect him. It's funny. I got spanked twice growing up, which I deserved.
I got spanked way more than twice.
Oh, it was a belt spanking, so it wasn't fucking. But
mine was the switches.
Oh, the switch. Okay, yeah. Those will leave a mark.
My bedroom looked out to the woods, and I had to watch him go and find the switch.
That's almost worse.
It was like you'd just be pacing, be like, oh my God.
Yeah, no. But again, the whole respect about that, I respect him because I deserve those two ass.
Oh yeah, of course we deserve.
I whipped his ass twice.
Oh yeah.
He said one thing to my mother. I said, don't do it again.
Yeah.
And he did it. Right on his ass once. Then another thing was I bought him a car from, I did very well modeling, so I bought this, they're the Ford Thunderbird, they redid it.
Yep.
So I bought it for me and him to have, and he went out and fucking wrecked it.
No way.
Drinking like an idiot, but it was like a funny drunk, you know what I mean? Like he backed into something. Right. I got out and he gave me shit for it. Right down. I was like, I don't do that in front of my friends, you know what I mean? Like, and that was it. We had those two things, and like after that, we were the best friends in the world.
I just took my dad to the NFL Hall of Fame.
Oh, in Cleveland.
So one of my clients.
Oh no, where was that?
It's in Ohio, Cleveland, Canton, Ohio. Yeah, right outside of Cleveland.
I was thinking of the Rock and Roll.
Well, you fly into Cleveland, and then the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in Cleveland, and it's an hour away from Cleveland.
Okay, yeah.
But one of my former clients, Julius Peppers, just got inducted in the Hall of Fame.
He's a beast.
Oh my! If he walked in right here, we'd be like,
fucking mountain,
6'7", 300,
legs like people,
can run like a deer, and the kindness. Just such a humble soul, like
that's awesome.
Just a beautiful person. But we had a really good time, like seeing my dad, like being able to go through the Hall of Fame and seeing all of his like old heroes, and I see mine, like it was cool.
Oh, that's
really
super cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to do stuff for your dad like that.
Definitely,
you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah, it was always good. I remember the one time I did. Whenever I drink, I tend to buy stuff.
We all do.
Weird shit.
That's online.
Like, weird shit.
My wife laughs at me because stuff will show up from like Amazon or some random package, and she'll be like, "You got a package?" I'm like, "What the hell? I got a package?" And I'll look. And I'm like, when did I buy this? It's definitely that late night second bottle of wine.
It's so fun. You're like, I'm going to use this Nerf Gatling gun for something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, what the fuck do I have a Nerf Gatling gun for? You know what I mean? But I'd gone to this hunting auction. Again, I grew up hunting and fishing. Those are my passions, And, coming from a thing, like I've kind of slowed down the hunting. I do more of the adventure crazy stuff, like photography I got into. But back in the day, it was just like a situation where it was like, I want to take my dad, because we'd sit there, and the only time we bonded, again, this is the phase where I hated him. You'd be like, come inside, quit mowing grass. We're going to watch, tracks across Africa.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, we'll sit down and watch an elephant hunt or a lion or whatever it could be, And it was cool. We bonded that way. So I sat there and made some money. I flew into Vegas for the Safari Club International. That's like the Super Bowl of like, it's just like a convention center of just hunting outfitters, and it's amazing. They have, because now hunting's a very rich sport, so it's like hunter, outfitter in New Zealand, outfitter in Africa, yachts. You know what I mean? Like they know their crowd. Right. So I sat there and I drank too much. I was like, Dad, I'm gonna take you to Africa. He's like, why? I said, we're gonna go after a lion, because it was something that he'd always wanted. I said, but the one caveat is I'm doing it with a bow and arrow. Fuck you, I'm not gonna go. I said, I'll send you a postcard. He came. It was great. You know,
Did you get it?
I did.
With the bow and arrow?
Bow and arrow, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the fourth
That's
largest
impressive.
one shot. Yeah. And it was a situation where it was like, because now everybody's like, oh my God, you shot a lion. I was like, that lion wasn't, it wasn't about pulling the, or killing it. It was my dad's face. It was me and him doing something. It was him taking his first trip to Africa, me and him drinking and smoking cigars.
Right.
That's what I remember. I don't remember hunting a lion. You know what I mean? Like, and it was one of the, I would say one of the moments of my life, because he actually passed away 2 years ago. Medical error. And it was probably one of the things that I was able to take away from it. You know what I mean? It was just cool to be able to do something like that for your father, you know? And it was just one of those situations where hunting and fishing, I don't think people give it the credit for what it's due. There's a bunch of assholes out there. There really is.
Yeah.
But when you do it properly, it's like sitting in a tree stand at 4 a.m. as a 12-year-old being like, why am I here? Right. You know, it's a turkey. You're like, you know what I mean?
Deer piss on you.
Fuck yeah, man. Like, why don't I have this female doe urine on me? Like,
exactly.
you find out quick, you know what I mean?
Yep. Well, we need, I mean, it's just, and nowadays you see all these kids just doing this, staring at the iPad. And so those memories are great.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I say like what I want to do, because I have a 4-year-old and a newborn.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I always say I want to create more moments that create memories instead of materials.
Experiential health.
Yeah.
That's what it is, man. And again, so I just started my own supplement line that I actually can create, because most of the stuff you see in this industry is all white labeled. So the stuff that
100%, right.
So it was funny, they just started a company, which I've been wanting for the last 12 years, to where I can create my own aspect. They have everything in it. So it's called experiential health, because I think, what's the point of living if you aren't experiencing anything?
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, I love
so
that.
it's kind of an aspect to where I think the experiential part of life is the actual key to life.
Yes.
You know, and nobody pays attention to that anymore. They're too busy on their phone and likes and followers, all this other nonsense of abundance that you don't need.
And like being aware, like
of course,
self-awareness, but then also awareness of your surroundings, like being intentional about what you do. Like,
sure,
you know, like,
for sure. And the biggest thing about ketamine, so to kind of circle back, I try to tell everybody, the unique thing about ketamine is you're coming here and you're paying me a lot of money to take control from you. And the aspect is, when you see it, depression is the past. Anxiety is the future. You don't have anxiety about something that happened in the past. Nobody does. You don't have depression about something's gonna happen in the future. You don't know. So the aspect is, ketamine cuts both of those off. So now it's just you in the moment. And you sit there, and after you come out of a ketamine thing, I tell patients, go walk by the water. Everything's in high definition. You sit there and, like, when you look at a flower, how much fucking work went into that? You know what I mean? You just walk by and give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, when you sit there and see that, you start to appreciate, smell the roses, the whole aspect of it. And that's where I think people have lost that. They're so concerned about 10 years from now. It's just like, we could walk outside. World War III is about to start. You know what I mean? Like, we're about to get bombed from Russia or something like that. It's like, enjoy the moment now. So it was funny. I'm actually flying to Pennsylvania. I'm buying 400 acres of land. Just because. I don't trust the stock market, so I'm pulling money out of the stock market. I said, I'm gonna go up there. I've always wanted to own. I'm a farm boy. In Pennsylvania, it's a beautiful state, and down there,
I've never been to Pennsylvania.
Oh, it's fucking beautiful.
Yeah,
and especially the Pittsburgh area.
Okay.
So I'm going out. My brother has 3 beautiful little nieces and an awesome wife, and he's like the major. I mean, he does all the sports teams and stuff for his medicine. So I said, Paul, I'm gonna buy this, put some prefab houses on it. I want you to take care of it. He's just like, fuck yeah, I'll take care of it. You know what I mean? So it's a situation where it's like, that to me is more important than having Bitcoin that might go up or down $3. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? The stock market, it's imaginary money anymore. Even the US dollar, they just keep printing it. Give me land, give me precious metals, and something I can live with now.
Right.
And that's what I think ketamine really changed my perception of it.